What if collecting isn't making you happy and it's quietly making you miserable? I know this is going to sound dramatic, but I really think that most collectors are miserable. And I don't mean that as an insult. I mean that as a pattern that I've seen and I've lived. Because let's be real, this hobby is supposed to bring joy. But more and more, it really feels like it's doing the opposite. And nobody really wants to talk about it. We say we're passionate, but sometimes we're just overwhelmed. We say we're invested, but sometimes we're just stuck. And the scary part is that most of us don't even realize that it's happening. So in this video, I want to break down the hidden reasons that quietly have so many collectors burning out. And more importantly, how is it that we can take that joy back? This isn't a takedown of collecting. It's a call to reclaim it. Stick around. The illusion of progress. Collecting a lot of the times feels like you're building something. But what are we actually building? We always have to be mindful and always understand that the game is designed to keep us opening new doors while at the same time keeping the old doors open behind you. How many times have you heard or maybe even said to yourself, once I get this wave, or once I finish this shelf, or maybe once I grab that exclusive? You do realize that there is no clear finish line. Collecting is a treadmill that never stops. And even when it's going at its slowest, it's still moving. Once you start thinking in bullet points, you're not chasing nostalgia. Now you're chasing closure. And in this hobby, closure doesn't exist. Comparison is the thief of joy. Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Reddit, man. Everybody's collection is looking better than yours. But not for nothing, I'm pretty sure your next door neighbor looks a whole lot better on her IG page than she does when you catch her by the corner store. And that's because we only getting the highlights. We get to see what they want to put in the frame, and then they crop out the rest. That's not reality. I remember very clearly when I was first getting into collecting and I was watching the big name collectors at that time. I took a lot of inspiration for what I was seeing and I was putting together all types of designs in my head. A lot of people give me shout outs for my ceiling designs and how I hang them and utilize my space. I wish that I could say that I came up with that all on my own, but that would be a lie. The first time that I ever saw that done in my life was when I was watching a Shammus Prime room tour video and he had his whole cosmic section hanging from the ceiling. I didn't want or have a cosmic section at that time, but I really wanted to run with that idea for anybody that it made sense for. And that's most likely what gave birth to my whole 360 display right now. At the same time, I do understand that a lot of people really envy Shammus and they really wish they had a collection his size. I've never really felt that way though. I pay more attention to the videos where Shammus himself is saying that his collection is out of control and he doesn't have a grip on it anymore. He has piles of figures all over the place that he got to do something with and he's just overwhelmed.
This is a very difficult video for me to post. I feel a whole ton of shame as far as the status of my own collection and the mess that I've let this collection kind of blow up into. But the way things have been going, the constant bombardment of releases and the sponsorships, it's just put me in this hamster wheel of getting videos out all the time.
It's amazing how that can go over so many people's heads though. As a collector, we have to understand that our collections are individual to us and they're unique in that sense. Once you start going out there and trying to carbon copy other people's collections, that's just a copy and paste. And there's nothing really special about that. Comparing your collections to other people's collections is only going to strip away whatever joy and happiness you've built up so far. A lot of the times when I'm looking at other people's collections or even in YouTube, it's really to make sure that I stay away from them as far as possible. I see where the crowd is going and I kind of want to go the other direction. I never want to get lost in the crowd. So if I ever want my collection to stand out, then I'm going to have to do my own thing. Spending without satisfaction. After some time, collectors don't even feel anything when they buy something anymore. Maybe just relief. Pre-ordering has become a reflex. If that pre-order goes up at 1 o'clock, we're so busy trying to lock in and beat a bot that we're not even taking the time to ask ourselves, do I even want this? We set our alarms and click on the link just hoping to get our foot through the door before we even ask ourselves the most important question. Do I want to buy this? The speed is pretty much pre-order everything and then figure out if you can afford it and then figure out if you actually want it. Everything is backwards. We stopped collecting figures after a while. We just start collecting boxes. I remember when I used to come home with a garbage bag full of figures and I would sit there all night until I cracked every one of them open. These days, it's not really uncommon for me to come home with 1 or 2 and just chuck them in the closet until I want to get to them. That dopamine hit is going to drop as time passes, just like with everything else. That's why I always say, Toy hunting may be dying, but that feeling can never be replaced. You can't replicate that feeling of flicking through the pegs and seeing like one arm from a character that you're looking for and just knowing that it's him and waiting to get to him, pulling him out and being like, yo, I can't believe this. Checking your account to make sure you got enough, because right now, this is going home. And if something else got to get left behind, it is what it is. You don't get that from a click or a pre-order. You only get that feeling in person when it's least expected. I have way more regrets from buying figures online than I do from picking up figures in person. A lot of the times, those short-term hits lead to long-term regrets. If collecting is making you anxious, burnt out, or even numb, you're not broke. You're just due for a reset. What can I do about it? Well, this isn't about quitting, that's for sure. This is more about reclaiming. I like to ask myself 3 things a lot of the times. Why did I start collecting in the first place? What does a healthy collection look like for me today? What am I avoiding whenever I shop, scroll, or spend? I also like to put certain things into practice and take breaks from certain things from time to time. I constantly take breaks from collecting announcements, YouTube, web pages, all of that. Sometimes I tell myself, like, yo, I'm off for the next week or 2. I really don't care what happens. Whatever's gonna happen, it's gonna have to happen without me. More often than not, just rearranging your shelves or your display can bring out a lot more than by simply adding to it. We don't always have to dig in our pockets to feel like we're surrounded by something new. Whenever we change our bedrooms around, it feels like we're coming home to something new, even though everything that's in the room has been there. It's just in a different spot. That's the same thing that happens to our collections when we move them around. You can really take 2 figures that you've had for like a decade and make them feel brand new. You just have to put a little time into it. I've never really been a figure seller per se, but I have let some things go, especially in the beginning. But letting go of something that doesn't fit you anymore isn't the worst thing in the world. I like to pass down figures to the younger kids in my family. A lot of the times when they see a collection, they want to start getting involved, even if it's just for the moment. But that's a moment that I could capitalize on. I would much rather pass down that 35th Spider-Man repaint to a younger member of my family than sell it. That's a bond and a memory that you just built and shared. And that was all for something that you probably don't even appreciate anymore. That was a come up. Sometimes we might feel a little bit miserable because our hobby can turn itself into a burden. But we have to remember that this is our passion and we're the ones that's in control. Look, I'm not above any of this. I've felt burnout and I've bought things that I really didn't want. I've stared at my shelves and wondered why I didn't feel more satisfied. You're not alone, and every collector I've known has gone through this, even the ones with the biggest names. But the beauty of collecting isn't just in the figures, it's in how it helps us to reflect, grow, and connect. And the more honest we become about our habits, the more our collection becomes our reflection. If this resonated with you, drop a comment and let me know. I like to talk about the ins and the outs of collecting, not just the highlights. The moment that we take control back from the cycle is the moment that we start enjoying this again. Until next time. Peace.